All right, hello and welcome to Keeping It Real, where we talk to the best people in real estate. And I always say this, but it's definitely true. Today we got a good one. So we're going to talk about how to acquire 30 real estate clients online next year. And Eric is going to kill this one. I'm very excited. First, you are seeing this either on YouTube or Facebook, and we want this to be interactive. So definitely go into the comments below and leave your questions. We will try and grab those questions as they come up, and I will throw them at Eric so you can get the maximum amount of value out of this as possible. Also, hit that thumbs up and the like button. That really helps us out. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel if this is the first time you're checking out one of our videos. So with that, Eric, thanks for coming on. And why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks for having me. And Chris, I thought we were supposed to set expectations low and then be above expectations, but
too late.
Yeah. So do you mind if I just jump right in and
let's do it.
Intro afterwards. So let me just get my screen together. You can see my screen here.
Yes, definitely.
Very cool. All right, everyone. So today we're going to talk about how to, as Chris kindly mentioned, how to acquire 30 new real estate clients online next year without cold calling all day, renting, lead generation services, or making TikTok videos that you wake up dreading. So we're going to talk about a very simple but very true formula on how to actually do this. And yes, I have 30 plus clients doing this actively right now. So this is coming from a good place. So I'm going to teach you guys a lot of actionable stuff in this webinar, but if you do stay to the end, I'm going to give you a link and you're going to be able to get 3 free resources that are actually going to help you execute what I'm going to talk about. So the first one is going to be a Google Ads cheat sheet, which is literally some of the same keywords we use at Agent Launch to actually set up our clients' Google Ads. You're also going to get a YouTube launch package that's going to help you get up and running with YouTube. And then I'm going to give you a daily activity tracker to hold yourself accountable. It's the best activity tracker in the industry. We built it that way. It's all digitized and really, really cool. So this stuff's going to help you actually execute what I'm going to teach you. And there's not going to be some big pitch for Agent Launch, and there's nothing you can buy today. That's not my style. If you guys want to get in touch with us, I'll tell you how, but that's about it. So my promise to you guys is this will be actionable stuff. We have over 30 clients doing 30 to 100 new deals. So please pay attention, put a lot of work into making sure this was value packed. You are going to get actionable, tangible information. This isn't a big pitch. This isn't high level theory. I'm literally going to walk you through like 10 steps to succeeding at YouTube visually. And so I'm really excited about it. And also this advice is coming from proven strategies that are working today. I actually didn't build this webinar yesterday, but I was refining it yesterday and I built it a couple of weeks ago. So this is all fresh, newer material. And yes, I've been talking about this stuff for years. I didn't just churn it up yesterday, but this is all fresh and new. So Chris is kindly going to chime in with questions. If the audience has any, feel free to ask questions. We will stop somewhere in the middle to do like a Q&A. So just to catch up on questions, then we'll do another Q&A at the end. So yeah, let's get into it. So quick agenda. We're going to go through a couple case studies. We're going to talk a little bit about the formula of how to actually do this. Stop for a quick Q&A. Then I'm going to go into YouTube. We'll talk about the bonuses, Q&A, and how to get in touch. So first of all, who am I? Well, I'm the founder and CEO of Agent Launch. My name is Eric Preston. You can check me out on YouTube. I have a really thriving YouTube channel. YouTube changed my life, and I'm going to show you guys some secrets in this webinar of how I did that. Currently, we have about 24,000 subscribers. Agent Launch is a team of now 23. So we help real estate agents build client acquisition systems online, but we take a more holistic approach. Real Geeks is one of our favorite partners. Most of our clients actually use Real Geeks websites. So this is exciting for me to be on this audience. I actually found out about Real Geeks through this podcast about 5 years ago. So this is super meta for me. So I love it.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit before we got started. I was really happy to hear that you, have been listening for that long, and that's how you found out about Real Geeks. That's very cool.
Well, that's where you start delivering value. People pay attention. So that's the theme of what we're going to talk about as well. So anyway, yeah, Agent Launch is we have 150 active clients. We focus on a really holistic picture of doing this stuff, and I'm going to share with you kind of the approach we take today. So just a couple of case studies to get you guys psyched. Todd's one of our awesome clients. He's only 120 days in. Every video he puts out now is getting 1,000 plus views. He's already made 108,000 in cash collected. He thinks he's going to do 500 to 600,000 at the 12-month mark with just leveraging Google Ads, a YouTube strategy, integrating the two together and having good systems built behind that. So really cool stuff. In the last 120 days, he's generated 400 leads. He has 35 that are currently active and engaged, and he has 108,000 closed. I put closed and pending 2 weeks ago, but it's all closed now. So yeah, he's estimating about 400 to 500K. So that's pretty cool. Here's a cool message I got from a client the other day, saying that in tough times, having 10 prospects at one time is an all-time high. That was all through Google PPC. Pretty cool.
Awesome.
And this is in tough times. So he said, you know, I would be out of business if it wasn't for the presence he built on Google. So we also have a bunch of case studies. You can check them out on YouTube. That's all I'm going to do for now. I just want to show you guys this, not as a sales pitch, but to show you that this stuff actually does work and why you should pay attention. Because I think there's a lot of crap out there in our industry specifically. I would say 95% of companies, agencies, et cetera, don't have a winning product. So it's really hard to sift through that as an agent. So let's dive right into the formula. So this is a simplified formula, and then we're going to get into more detail after this. So this is, in my perspective, based on the knowledge and skill set I have of doing this for the last 6 years, how to actually accomplish this. So the first thing is establish a brand and a website, specifically a website that generates leads. Now, I'm going to get more in detail of how to brand yourself a little bit later. I have some really tried and true techniques on how everyone can do that in a really simple fashion. Get a Real Geeks website. I'd say 80% of our clients have a Real Geeks website. It's because we spend $500,000 a month on Google ads, and Real Geeks is up there with like only one other that does this close to as well. And like,
nice.
I really want to push that point, not just because I'm on the Real Geeks podcast, but like we've had a great partnership with these guys for many years. And we push all our clients to Real Geeks, not because of any other reason than it just works for the purposes we set it out for. So second is have 2 predictable and scalable lead sources you understand. Specifically 2, not 7. This is the big mistake I find a lot of people make, is they try to do too much too soon and they complicate before they understand and optimize. So you do not want to have a bunch of different lead sources. Those are just shiny objects. Pick 2 that you believe in and you resonate with. For me, that's Google and YouTube. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. But have 2 predictable, consistent, and scalable, specifically scalable. Your circle of influence is great. Referrals are great, but you can't click a button and scale that up. With paid ads, you can, and some lead sources you can. The third is have a dialed in CRM to effectively nurture your leads. Lead gen is just the surface. It's just the first step. The real money is made in the nurture. I'm going to go into this presentation of how to effectively nurture leads using a specifically video. So point 4 is to master your scripts and objections. This is one of the biggest things I find most people don't do, is they don't take the time to drill and master their objection handling. So like, what do you say when someone says, how's the market? Do you go into teacher mode and you start teaching them about how the market is? Or do you ask really high quality questions that's meant to get at the reasons why they're actually asking that question in the first place, so you can uncover some important details and then build off that to create a relationship and push them towards actually setting an appointment with you to talk about real estate? How do you get around I'm just browsing? Because I guarantee you, if you're not good at addressing leads who sign up on your website or you generate online, you're going to get I'm just browsing all the time. And if you can't get over this consistently, you're probably not going to get anywhere with this. So you need to have a tried and true process for getting around the I'm just browsing objection. Then there's the I'm waiting for X. I'm waiting for interest rates to change. I'm waiting for the next season. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. How do you get around that? You have to have really strong objection handlers for these things. And a lot of times it's about getting people out from behind the keyboard to do a exploratory tour, just to look at things, or getting them in the hands of a lender, just pushing them that little bit so that you can start showing them houses they love, so they can go from a year out to a month or 2 out. Happens all the time.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, just to jump in real fast. So we do have a first question, someone asking,
sure,
can they get the presentation? And I would say, yes, we'll make that available, but also this video will be pinned on our YouTube channel and on our mastermind group. So you can definitely go watch the whole thing in context, slide by slide, whenever you want.
Totally. We'll make sure everyone gets a copy of this, the bonuses, all that good stuff. Next is leverage video. This is something I'm really big on. Leverage video, but do it to build trust with leads on autopilot. So like, I want to give you an analogy because I know whenever I'm not going to ask because people can't put their hands up because I can't see anyone. But have you ever walked into a store and someone came right up to you and they were like, "Hey, can I help you?" And you're like, "Whoa, I like just got here. Like I haven't even looked at anything, you know," and you just feel kind of off put by that. Well, that's sometimes what it can feel like when someone signs up on your website and you call them 2 minutes later. It's like, "Hey, can I sell you a house?" It's like, "Whoa, dude, I'm just looking for homes. I'm just browsing," right? That's where you get that. But one of the best things you can do with video is say, "Hey, I know you're just browsing. I know you're probably super early in your process. Most people who sign up on our website are. Would it be helpful if I sent you a cool video I just made on my favorite neighborhoods to live in Seattle? Like, would that be helpful with where you're at?" They'd be like, "Sure. Of course, that would be helpful." And that's the equivalent to someone coming up to you instead of saying, "Hey, can I help you buy some clothes?" Just handing you a brochure of their sales. "Hey, just wanted to give you a quick brochure of what we have on sale today or special. Let me know if you have any questions," right? So just think about that. So one is leveraging video in your sales process, which I just described. The second is leveraging video on autopilot through your nurture, through your drip campaign. So actually putting your videos in your drip so that they're getting texted, emailed out to your leads through Real Geeks or your CRM or whatever that is, and make that happen automatically, right? So like my YouTube channel is at a place where I get about 200 views per hour, 100 to 200 views per hour. And you can think about that. That's 100, 200 people looking at my bald head every hour. That's life-changing, right? You can do a lot with that. And so one is your videos will work on autopilot through YouTube over time. It's going to take you a long time to get there to that level, but you can also leverage them in your drip campaigns.
Yeah, and Eric, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and we'll save it for the YouTube channel, but basically it was in the back of my mind is what, like 200 people are watching you an hour, but for your agents that are already doing really well, it seems like their subscriber count's actually kind of low and their view count's kind of low compared to what, like, you know, sort of a out there in internet land type person might want. So I think, you know, some KPIs to help people calibrate like what good is on YouTube would be awesome.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think a lot of people approach YouTube thinking it's like Instagram or Facebook, where followers are one of the most important things, right?
Yeah.
YouTube's not like that because a lot of people find out about your videos not because they subscribe to your channel. It's because they search for something specific that your video is about, or they see it on the browse or a recommended video from another video. So it's a very different platform. It's not all about subscribers. It's about creating targeted specific content that your audience is going to search for that's meaningful to them. Because one view can generate you one listing. It's like it can happen, and it does happen. Like I have a client, Linnea. She actually coaches with us now in our program because she's so good. But she made a cool video on the 2-1 buy down and how to use that to lower your mortgage payment for the first couple of years in a high interest market. Her video had 28 views. And she had 11 conversations started. Just think about that.
Yeah.
28 views, 11 conversations started. And she was blown away. I was blown away. Everyone was blown away. But it's because she emailed it out to her list and they really resonated with it. And they started asking her questions about the 2-1 buy down. And then she was able to connect them with a lender to start that relationship and build off of it. So like, it doesn't take a huge view count or huge subscriber count to be successful at YouTube. You have to think of it differently because like people on Instagram, rarely do they search for your content. Like you can do that with hashtags, obviously, but it's a bit different. Like if you're like best neighborhoods to live in Chicago, it's like, that's a very good lead, like someone who's searching for that, right? It shows that someone's probably moving there. So
definitely.
Good question.
That's great information.
And so, yeah, leverage and build trust with leads on autopilot. You want to make sure you spend, I say 3 hours because I like to set that bar, but 2 to 3 hours. Like you need to have this blocked off in your calendar every single day without exception. You need to treat it like an immovable object. It needs to happen. Nobody who made it in real estate big is not doing this. You need to be creating relationships, talking to people. It's basic sales, but it's very real. So spend 3 hours a day prospecting, generally late morning, something like that, where you can actively create relationships with people, follow up with people, deliver value to people, and just have conversations. You also want to spend 6 hours a week creating content. You can do this in a block it out on Monday, Sunday, whatever day works for you. I do this every week. You need to create a content block where you're actively creating content for the week. In some cases, people will batch record and they'll do like 2 days of content creation and they'll do the whole month. That's usually an advanced technique, but you need to have time blocked out to create content, whatever that content is. The best part about YouTube, and I'm going to get into this later, is you can create that one piece of content, chop it up into other social media content. I'll show you how to do that. Then you want to start building leverage around you. Once you have this is kind of your basics. You have a schedule, you're working on some content, you mastered your scripts, you have leads coming in, you're working those leads. Don't overcomplicate it. Like really, you don't have to go do 20 things to generate a bunch of business. You can leverage one channel. Then you want to leverage yourself out. So the first step is usually leveraging your administrative tasks out to an assistant. You want to leverage your prospecting at some point out to an ISA, because once you have 500 leads from Google, 1,000 leads from Google, it's going to be too much for you to manage when you're out doing listings, showings, etc. And then you want to leverage your buyers out to an OSA, outside sales agent, which is a buyer's agent. And that's pretty much the formula. And once you get to that point, you want to spend more money, because once you dial this in, it can be money in, money out, and you can turn up the tap. So like Google Ads, you can go on there and double that in 30 seconds, and you can increase your lead volume by 2. So this is the basic idea, like really fundamental, basic structure of how I would go about this. Okay. So like if I wasn't running the business I am, and I was living back home, I live in Mexico now, coming at everyone from Elon Musk's Starlink today. So
Damn, this is a great connection for Starlink. Yeah. Also, at some point, we're gonna have to talk to you about being a digital nomad in real estate, because that's also very cool.
Yes, I have lived in 8 countries in the last 2 years, and we can talk about that. But now I'm getting a little more settled. Mexico and Portugal, back and forth, so half the year in each. So anyways, we can go into that a bit later, but this is the basic idea. So I'm going to share a quote with everyone from one of my favorite mentors. So rarely is the answer doing new, but often doing more and better of what you're already doing. I want to say that again, like rarely is the answer doing something new. It's often doing what you're already doing, but doing more of it and doing it better. Because most agents, and we work with a lot of them, and I've been doing this for 6 years now, working with agents, is like shiny object syndrome is very real. We all know that. And it's like the next big thing, the next big thing, the next big thing, but it's consistency over time with a few really solid things that are going to get you there. Like I'm going to get into this in the YouTube, but I know people who do like 50 to 200 deals just from Google Ads every year. I know people who do 50 to 100 deals just from YouTube. I know a guy who does 50 deals just from TikTok. Like I made some content around this because I wanted to make that point, is like, do fewer things better. Don't do more.
Yep.
Simple scales, fancy fails. Okay. Remember that. And this is from Alex Hormozi.
Totally support this philosophy. Yeah. I mean, this is true everywhere, whether you're in, corporate marketing or real estate, become expert.
Any business, doesn't matter what it is, simple scales, fancy fails. Most agents get fancy, fail, and then have to get simple. So like start simple, master a few things. Like your upside in being an absolute master at one thing is so much higher than being a jack of all trades. And so few people do that mastering of one thing. So let's get into step 1, establishing a brand. I love talking about this. These are 2 of our clients, Todd and Linnea, both of who are coaching in our program now, just because they followed it to a T and did really well. So like, it's funny how we look at this, and I look at their subscriber count when I got these clips like a couple of weeks ago, and they're already, Linnea is almost at 500, Todd's at like 130. It's pretty cool. So they're growing fast. But I want to talk about brand, because this is something I go through with all my clients. So there's 2 types of brands you can really use. Obviously there's some more, but I want to go through these 2. Example 1 is you have a brand that isn't you, and example 2 is you have a brand that is you. Now think about this like long and hard, because so many people do the personal brand and then learn to despise that later, and they go back and they want to do a different brand. If you want to be the face of your company forever, like in 5 years, you can do your personal brand. Linnea is a good example because she does a lot of coaching. So she actually does coaching. She's building a personal brand for a reason, right? A lot of people that build the like Eric Preston Realty end up regretting it later. Why? Because it's hard to get a team behind your name.
Yep.
So think about that. The brand I really recommend is Living in X or some variant of that. So Todd's a great example. His YouTube channel is Living in Kona, Hawaii. His website is livinginkona.com. His Google My Business is Todd Barrett, Living in Kona, Hawaii - his brokerage, Refocus Realty. And so you can do a variety of these. We have a client who's life on Oahu. You can do live in Phoenix, AZ.
This is
move
perfect
to.
because I was definitely going to ask you, what should your domain name be?
So the reason a domain like this is so cool is because it's a local specific domain that isn't tied to an agent. So when someone signs up on it, they don't feel like they're just giving their information to an agent who's going to try to sell them on something. It's like a local area. And we do this with all of our clients for the most part with Real Geeks websites and whatnot. It's okay to have a personal brand too, right? You just have to be sure that's the direction you want to go. So think about this, because changing sucks. I did it. I was ericbpreston.com, EBP Media in the early days. I learned to hate it. So I've been through this myself, and it sucks to rebrand, but it was very worth it for us. And most people think it is worth it. I had a client who her name was Teresa, and she rebranded to Live in Phoenix. And now she's building that brand and feels really excited about where that brand's going. And so think about this. Another reason is in your YouTube videos, like you can verbal this really easily, right? To someone. It's like, hey, it's Eric Preston from livingincona.com. Sounds really good, you know? It's not like, hey, it's Eric Preston from ericpreston.com. And that's not my actual domain, but that's, you know what I mean? It just sounds a lot nicer. You can verbal it. It's more location specific. People don't know it's a realtor. They think it's a local website. It's easier to write a blog for. There's so much more you can do with a brand like that. So ask yourself the question, will your brand grow with you? Next is find a consistent, scalable lead source. So like, if you want to run Facebook ads, like Real Geeks has a service with this. Street Text is a great solution as well. That's one you can do. I just recommend doing it well. There's a lot of bad advice out there around Facebook ads. At Agent Launch, we focus on Google and YouTube. Like Real Geeks does Google ads too. So like we're both really aligned on Google PPC being a great lead generation source. We at Agent Launch specifically do that in combination with YouTube. So those are our two preferred lead sources, and we do a lot of creative stuff with that. What you need to understand though is like these lead sources, it's money in, money out, and very few other lead sources are like that, other than like mailers and things like that. You know, when you look at some of the big real estate brokerages that are still teaching people to door knock, it's like, sure, that'll predictably get you X if you're good at it over time, but that's just your input and your output are too connected. Like you always have to be knocking on doors to get that result. These you can build leverage around you. You can scale them up with the click of a button, and you're having your finances work for you rather than the sweat equity you need for door knocking. So you need to take risks. Like one of my clients spends 15 grand a month on Google ads alone. I know at Real Geeks, you guys know quite a few of these people, right? You know the guy I'm talking about. And I personally spend $1,000 a day on YouTube ads. That might sound crazy to you. You're like, what? You spend $1,000 a day on YouTube ads? Well, yeah, because I know the numbers and like it works out. So to me, that's not spending, that's investing in the return. And you have to be able to take risks, but you got to do this with the right partners. You got to have the right things backing this up. So there's always a trust building phase with this, right? Like a lot of people aren't going to trust it right away. You got to build trust over time by showing yourself that you can do it. So that was my next point. Know your numbers. So for example, what we often achieve with a Real Geeks website is roughly $8 to $15 leads, somewhere in there. It really depends on your market and the competition. There's a lot that goes into it. For simplicity, $10 leads, you're paying $1,000 for 100 leads. If your conversion rate is 1 to 2%, you close 1 deal or to 2 deals for every 100 leads, then the numbers are 10 to 20K for 1,000 in, right? So that's a 10 to 20X return on ad spend. ROAS is the term you want to use, return on ad spend, because obviously there's other expenses and stuff that go into running a business. So these are the numbers you want to look at. You also can't look at your conversion numbers in a month. Like you have to look back on January in like next January and say, here's the 100 leads I generated last January. How many of those closed? It's not about month 3. You're like, I've generated 300 leads and I haven't closed anything yet. It's like, well, there's a lot going on in the market. People are on the fence. Some of those leads are going to convert in 6 months, 9 months. Like there's so much to consider. You have to look at it looking back.
Yeah. And I want to just underline and, amplify this point that there is a potentially long lag there. And frequently, like one of the biggest mistakes we see people getting started with this is they spend money on advertising, 30 days go by and they're like, I'm not seeing the ROI. And they just didn't wait long enough versus the clients that wait 12 months and they're seeing the 10 to 20% or 20X ROAS that you're talking about. So I know our marketing clients are definitely hearing a lot about this right now. It's something that we definitely drill home.
It's really important to understand. And if you don't set the right expectation, like we had a client, Mark, who so like when we were signing up clients in February, March, a lot of people were closing deals in month 2 or 3. Right now, people are usually closing deals in month 3, 4, or 5. That's when it starts. Mark was a great example because he closed 0 deals in month 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then he closed 9 in month 5. And I thought that was really cool because I was like, wow, like you kind of had nothing for the first 4 months, but then you closed 9. But Mark wasn't new to this. So he knew the numbers. He knew the time it took. Like it does take time. And in a lot of cases, depending on the market, depending on whatever it is, it can just be luck of the draw. Sometimes you just get that perfect lead who's like cash buyer, ready to go, doesn't have an agent, wants to move next month. It's just like, it can happen, right? Sometimes that doesn't happen. So like, you just got to understand
you gotta think about that as winning the lottery, not like, oh, that's going to happen every time. It's like as marketing guys, it's like we prepare our sales team for, no, you're going to have to work on this lead and you should be more prepared for it's going to take the work, not it's going to close itself.
Statistically, 70% of your leads you generate through Google are going to close in 6 months or greater. Sorry, of the leads that close, that close, 70% will be in 6 months or more, 30% will be in 6 months or less. Know that. Most of the money's made in the long term.
Yep.
So you got to be ready for that. All right, let's keep moving. Oh yeah, and I have a Google Ads tutorial. I'll share with that everyone at the end, but it's a pretty comprehensive tutorial. And for some reason, oh, there we go. So step 3 is to have a bulletproof nurture program. I cannot stress this enough. The money's all made in the nurture. Like it's not leads. If you just think leads are going to be the solution and you're just waiting for that perfect lead, you're not going to do that well with this. You might break even. I know guys who've done that. They're like, get back in and out. They're like, oh, I broke even. I did 3 deals this year. I was spending $1,500 a month, barely put any work into it, just waited for that perfect lead. And then I took those. Sure. Like that's a terrible way to do it. I'd never recommend it. You have to have a bulletproof nurture program. So our process is this: email, text, bulldog call day 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 10, and then every week thereafter. Make sure you work on your sales skills. This is one of the most important things. Make sure you're equipped with good questions. Like people you can go to, like Jason Smart has a lot of great ones of these. Craig Proctor has a lot of great objection handling. Like there's a lot of coaches out there. We have them in our program. You guys probably have them. Like there's a lot of people who know how to handle objections. So leads don't suck, but agents often do. And that's the big point I want to make is like work today more than ever is a skills-based market. You need to be working on your skills more than ever because you're going to have to go to war and battle with the rest of the agents in your market and be better than them. In these times, the average agent production goes up because so many agents fail and the good agents get all the business. In good times, average agent production goes down because it's easy and everyone's getting business. So work on yourself. Now
that's going to be a clip right there. Stay tuned on our social media. Yeah. And actually just to plug, our last Keeping It Real episode, it was with Dale Archdeacon talking specifically about sales skills. So if you're hanging out on the Real Geeks Mastermind group, there's a lot of good resources.
There you go. So the quality of your questions determines the quality of your answers. This was actually from Jason. And I mean, this isn't probably news to a lot of people, but like, I want to reiterate, the quality of your questions determine the quality of your answers. If you ask how many beds and baths are you looking for, you're going to get a number, right? It's a bad question. So how many beds and baths are you looking for, Chris?
3.
Cool. Like that's not, that's not a good way to like start a conversation.
Yeah.
But what if I asked you like, hey, Chris, I noticed you're signed up on the website. What is it about your current home that's not quite working for you at the moment that has you even exploring other options?
Love it.
It makes you think, doesn't it?
Yep. So much more information is going to come from the answer to that question that you're going to be able to use to guide them through the process.
100%. And it's like, this is something good salespeople do subconsciously, but it's about becoming consciously competent. A lot of people are unconsciously competent or unconsciously incompetent. And you have to become consciously competent and understand the things that you're doing well and the things you're not doing well so you can change them. This is one of the biggest points that we focus on with our Inside Sales Agent program is not asking questions like this. You have to be asking thoughtful questions, taking notes, relaying information back to people, showing them that you care. I think it was Al Lewis said this. It's like, they don't care what you know until they know that you care. I remember he said it maybe on this podcast or somewhere in Real Geeks, and that really, really hit me. And I was like, that's a good one, right?
Sounds like an Al thing.
Yeah. Show them that you care, right? So anyways, repeat back what do they say to them, put it in your CRM. Next step is you want to expand your nurture program with video. We've touched on this a little bit, but let's go through an objection. I think I already went over this, but I'm going to go over it again because I really love this one. So everyone's had a lead. I don't even have to ask. Everyone's had a lead tell you they're just browsing. Most people give up here and say, oh, the leads are tire kickers. They're all just browsing. They're not looking right now. They're a year out, this, that, the other thing, whatever. So, hey, Marcus, hey, Christopher, I know you're likely really early in the process and just browsing. Most people who sign up on our website are. Would it be helpful at this stage if I sent you a video I just made on the top 5 neighborhoods to invest and live in right now in Seattle? Of course, they're going to say yes. The next thing is like, great. Is it okay if I text that link to you? Like, sure, text it to me, send it to them on their phone, get them used to seeing you in their phone, right? Send them a text. They're more likely to watch that video on their phone anyway. So great way to expand your nurture program by leveraging video in your sales process. Now, a lot of people just create videos, but they don't use them properly. In the very, very end of this webinar, I'm going to get into how to actually deploy your YouTube videos. And this is one of the ways. Cool.
Cool. Maybe we take a minute here and just answer some of these questions. So we got 2 questions that are pretty good.
Sure.
One of the questions was, why spend money on ads when you can kind of optimize your YouTube videos? And I think, I'll let you answer that one, Eric, but I think basically you want to be doing both.
Did they say YouTube ads specifically?
I think
Just
they
ads.
said when you can study keywords and metrics and maximize YouTube views. So I think the idea is basically organic versus paid.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a lot to say here. The reason we love Google PPC is because it's always there. It's very consistent. There's always search volume and it's predictable. Making organic YouTube content isn't predictable for a long time. It can become predictable, but it takes a long time to get there. Google PPC can be like out of the box. You're getting leads straight away if you set it up right. It can happen real fast. It can be consistent, and it really just depends on how much money you want to spend on it. Optimizing even SEO, unpredictable. YouTube, unpredictable. It takes time. YouTube ads, very hard to execute. You need a really rock solid strategy. If you guys go to my YouTube channel, Eric B. Preston, you'll probably get retargeted with my ads. You can see how good of an ad that is. And I'm not just trying to tune my own horn. I put a lot of energy into making that ad. I re-recorded every little part of it many, many, many times. And then I chose what was the best. We strung them together, did a really strong edit. We have a really strong funnel behind it. So it's like, I didn't just throw that together. If you want to do a YouTube ad strategy, you need to have a really rock solid offer. You need to be making an ad around a script that's proven to work on YouTube specifically. And so this stuff is not easy. And for the average agent, it's incredibly hard. That's why I don't recommend YouTube ads for the most part. I recommend Google ads and YouTube organic and putting them together. So I do agree that like optimizing keywords and stuff on YouTube is good. I think it's more about creating content that people search for and making good titles and good thumbnails, having good hooks, call to actions, and structuring your video correctly with a strong edit. And I'll get into more.
Yeah, I love that answer. And I think it's a little bit like 2 different games. There's like your YouTube ads, which you are going to spend a lot of time perfecting every second of, versus the organic stuff, which you just don't necessarily have that luxury because once you push upload, it's kind of out there. So you're kind of stuck at that point.
100%. Yeah. So
yep.
I think they're both valid, but generally organic stuff is harder to make predictable.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the questions here is, are you using YouTube ads to get people to watch your YouTube videos?
No, we are driving YouTube ad traffic to a book a call funnel currently, soon to be a webinar. Yeah.
Excellent. And then
that's something on our roadmap actually for Q1, Q2 next year is building a YouTube ad to webinar funnel for our clients. It's probably way too early for me to say this, but that's on our roadmap because we know how impactful that type of funnel can be. I've done lots of that in my life. But I think when you look at YouTube ads, you have to understand the platform you're on. When people are on YouTube, they're in a watch now mode. So it makes sense to drive that traffic to somewhere where they're going to watch something. But Facebook ads, it's harder to drive traffic to like a 1-hour webinar because like people aren't on Facebook to spend an hour watching one thing. They're there to be distracted and engage with people and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then I'm going to burn through one last question here, and we'll get back on the path here. But what is the minimum ad spend you would suggest getting started with on Google? And I got our answer, but I'm interested to hear
It
yours.
depends if you're serious enough or not.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if you want to just dip your toes in, most people want to start with 500 a month. We don't do anything less than 1,500 a month because we know that the more you spend, the quicker the result you're going to get, the more serious you're going to take it. Like we like working with people that are ready to invest in their business and ready to get serious about working on themselves so that they can properly address these leads. So I'd say 1,500 a month. And we look to scale that up to like 3,000 a month over time once you build leverage around you. But that's generally the range is like, I'd say 1 to 3,000 is usually what we see. I wouldn't go less than 1,000.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we have a smaller offering for people trying to get started, which starts more like between $600 to $700 a month. If people are looking to like really make that beginner step, you could talk to the Real Geeks crew about that. And then, Eric, you've got the, stuff for the big boys.
Yeah, we used to do that too, and I get it. And I had clients who were spending that much who had wins, and they are successful. Yep. It's not like it won't work. You're just getting less leads, and it's sometimes going to take you longer to get the end result. The biggest thing with Google Ads is like, I wouldn't invest with Google Ads unless you have coaching on how to convert them. And like, you can find that for free in the Real Geeks community and other community, whatever. But like, you don't just generate leads. You have to get coaching for that. Because like the upside of this is really high. The downside is whatever you invest. So like, but the upside really, really, really high. So it's good to take it seriously. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's my take on it. We just find that people that spend more get there faster, build confidence in it faster. They focus less on bad numbers, bad conversations. They focus more on good conversations. Once they get that first few solid conversations, they got some stuff in the pipeline, they close the first deal, then they reinvest it. Then they're like, oh, now I feel comfortable spending that money. Everything happens faster. It's easy to lose faith in it if you're just like not getting enough leads and you focus on the bad stuff. Spending more allows you to focus on the good stuff.
Right, exactly. And it's becoming kind of like a winner take all, type marketplace out there, especially like you said,
It definitely is. Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Now above any time, the people are choosing the better, more established agents because they need that person to negotiate for them, right? They trust that person more. They're not willing to take as much of a risk. So step 5 is buying back your time. So this is leverage. If you've ever followed a business mentor, you've probably heard the word leverage. So this is generally what we look at is leverage out your administrative tasks. So social media, transaction coordination, emails, things like that to a VA. At Agent Launch, we actually recruit and train these types of roles. But you want to leverage that out to remote VA. You also want to leverage your prospecting at a certain point. You want to do this yourself generally for a while, prove it out, and then you can leverage that out to an ISA. But this isn't easy. I don't want to say you just hire a VA and then you're good. Like you need to be meeting with that. You need to be ready to be a leader. You need to be meeting that person every day. You need to be reviewing their calls. You need to be coaching with them. You need to be in constant contact with them. Like they need to be your right hand. They're going to be sending you people. You need to go back and forth about leads. Like this is the evolution in your business. If you want to become a leader, you need to take this seriously. This isn't like, oh, I'm just going to try and find someone on the cheap for like $4, $5 an hour, and they're going to do some remote, like whatever task. It's like, you need to treat these people like integral parts to your team, incentivize them correctly, give them opportunity, and treat them well, create a sticky environment. Like there's so much that goes into this. So yeah, I mean, we've been pretty fortunate at Agent Launch. Like we're 23 now, and we've never had someone quit, which is pretty cool. But we put a lot of energy into treating people well, giving people a lot of upside, making sure they feel good. Like it's not all about money for me. Like I want to create a family, you should treat it that way. Like, but if you want to learn how to do this, follow people who do it well. And the last one is leverage your sales out to a buyer's agent. We kind of already talked about this stuff, but I think it's important to like just understand the flow of what you generally see with people building teams is you start with your admin, then your ISA stuff, prospecting, and then your buyer's agents, and you start focusing on listings. So I will leave you with this as well. Building something great takes time, effort, and sacrifice, and specifically time. Everyone wants to build something in a day. Tony Robbins said it really well. He said people people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10. And I've found that in my journey to be incredibly true. So here was my Q&A slide. Do we have any questions?
We kind of burned through them there. So actually, maybe let me ask you this is, maybe you can just give a couple of top tips on finding VAs and what to look for in one that's going to really be good, integral part of your team.
Sure. That's a good question. We hire specifically in Latin America and the Caribbean for the most part. We also hire out of South Africa. Note that if you hire someone in South Africa, they're going to be working some odd hours. There's a few reasons for that. Like in South Africa and the Caribbean, you get quite a bit of native English. Like we just hired 3 sales reps for our team out of St. Lucia. And so when we're hiring for someone in the Southern US, a lot of times they like the bilingual element because there's a big Latino population. So it just depends on what your needs are. We don't like hiring out of the Philippines. That's just not what we do. A lot of people do that, but I find it really comes down to your clients. How do your clients feel? So in some cases, if clients hear like a faraway accent, they can think VA immediately, right? But if someone in Texas hears a Latino accent, for example, it's just like, oh, it's someone in Texas or whatever, right? Like, so that actually does matter in sales, on the phone for that first impression. Like, and so you want to think about these things. You also want to think about time zone. I'd say the biggest thing is just like, if you're going to hire someone, this is what we tell all our clients, because we hire these roles, but we always say, do not hire that person unless you have a good gut feeling about them. If your gut's saying, maybe, that's a no. I don't want to swear, but it has to be an F yes. If it's not an F yes, it's an F no. And so that's kind of we live by that at Agent Launch, and it's worked out well for us. And like, obviously you want to hire based on experience and skill set, and like level of English is obviously really important. So that's the first thing. Level of English, internet speed, and reliability, obviously really important. And then it comes down to like, how good of a communicator, critical thinker are they? How do they talk on the phone? Like, can they handle like an environment that's constantly changing, or a conversation? There's a lot to consider. But those are some of the basics. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I think one of the things that I'm surprised to hear is that your VAs are even client facing, that they're not just like back office people.
Yeah, we work with both. Like some of our best ISAs are actually from South Africa. And one of the reasons is they're native English speakers, right? And so sometimes it can be hard to sell if it's not your first language. Like there's some truth to that. Like I'm learning Spanish right now, and I could not imagine myself selling in Spanish, I imagine it'll be very hard. And so it just depends. Like we have like one guy on our team, he was from Colombia, and he spent time in Florida growing up, and his English is phenomenal. He almost doesn't even have much of an accent. So that stuff matters though. When you're selling, it's such an art, such an intimate thing. Like, it's tough when it's your second language, but it's important to look for that. And that's again, one of the reasons we find some good talent in South Africa, Caribbean, and we've had a lot of great success in Latin America as well. Like a lot of Agent Launch, our team is in all over Latin America and Canada.
Sounds great. A couple of the questions that have come through here. John's asking, how often do you recommend creating content for your YouTube channel? How often do you post?
As much as you can. Like, but there's not a hard and fast rule. Like, do something that's you can stick to. My advice would be, don't worry so much about a post schedule. Don't worry so much about sticking to a certain volume. Just focus on getting through your first 5 videos, because I can promise you the difference between your first video and your 5th video and your 10th video are going to be very, very different, especially if you have coaching along the way. So like in our program, I coach you through every video and review them. So it's like you hear themes, you get feedback, but I can tell you our client's first video to their 10th video is like an explosion of a difference. So just try to stick to like one every 2 weeks in the first little while.
And it kind of sounds like maybe if I'm reading into that question, I think a lot of times when you get the advice of like, oh, you need to be posting daily or whatever, you're really playing the kind of like subscriber side of the algorithm. And Eric, it sounds like that's not how you're playing the game. You're more using your nurture flows to drive people to the videos, or creating like kind of keyword targeted videos that are going to do well organically. You're not trying to like constantly be at the top of someone's feed and, getting clicks that way.
It's both. It's just the latter. Being at the top of the feed and getting clicks that way usually takes more time. Whereas delivering your videos, you can do immediately. And so both are important, but it just takes time to start hitting the top of the algorithm. But what YouTube cares about is watch time, not how often you post, not how consistently you post. They care about, do people care about your content? That's it. When they click on your video, are they watching it? Are they staying to the end? That shows YouTube that they're engaged and whatever you're saying is valuable. It's not about, did you post consistently? They don't really care about that as much as, are you creating quality content? You could create one incredible video and get 20 million views and never have another video on your channel. That could happen. So
definitely. Okay, we got questions coming in here. This is pretty exciting. So so this is the question. Your program sounds like it's for advanced realtors, for newer realtors. What part of your program is most relevant?
We just launched. So our program is like a very very briefly on Agent Launch. If you want to work with us, you can go to agentlaunch.com/apply, or just go to agentlaunch.com, click get started. That's probably the easiest way. Our motto is we build real estate agents client acquisition systems they own. So like, we're going to build everything in your business. We do Google, we do your CRM build, we do ISA recruitment. We're working on admin recruitment. We do YouTube coaching. We do your video editing for you. There's a lot of stuff we do, but you can learn more there. Our full program is not designed for new agents. It's usually if you're doing 100K plus. We just launched a do-it-yourself version last week. We gave away a few of them on our Black Friday promo to kick things off. It's basically the same program. We just are not going to do it for you, but you can have all the resources to do it yourself. And all of the call recordings that we do and everything like that. So that is something we have now, but that's like, if you're kind of newer in the space, like most of our clients like wouldn't have the time to do that. That's why we do everything for you. And our full program is much higher impact for sure, but that's a good way to get exposure to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. And then I think the thing that I would add on to that is I think that, maybe that's for clients, but you guys should absolutely be listening to what Eric's telling you here. And, even if you're a brand new agent trying to implement this stuff, even if you're figuring it out on your own, is extremely valuable. So I would say that it probably scales. It's just how much of the work you're gonna have to do on your own. So Battery Save the Future on YouTube asked, can you share your RG workflows for 2023? And maybe the right answer is hit that subscribe button and we'll have you back, Eric. Or go hit the lead magnet in the description.
Hit that subscribe button, go into the Real Geeks drip campaign templates, and you'll find one that says Eric, and there it is.
That's right. Because you're a Real Geeks OG. All right. Oh yeah, here's an awesome one, and this is one I was gonna mention. Sally wants to know, what equipment do you recommend for YouTube videos?
I will get into that next.
Let's do it.
We're gonna go through this next part of this is my favorite part. We're going to get into 10 steps, bulletproof steps for you to succeed on YouTube. I really like this next part. So anything YouTube related, we'll cover in the next Q&A.
Sounds good. And then, so we're about to go into the YouTube thing. I think people think it's over, and that's why the flooding of questions are coming in. It's not.
No, we got more.
This is just intermission, guys. Okay, and Eric, you're going to need to share your screen again because our producer minimized it.
Okay. So you can see again?
Yep, there you go.
Another place you can go, guys, is go to my Facebook group, High Volume Real Estate Sales Secrets. It's just facebook.com/groups/HVRESS. We'll probably send out a link to that as well, but that's where you can ask questions on any of this stuff. It's our free Facebook group.
Yeah. And so I think there's a question here about CPLs, and it says like when a realtor works with you and you're basically asking for $1,500 a month spend, is that equivalent to $150 leads? Or
No,
150 leads a month. So like $10 a lead. I think it highly varies on depending on your geography. So there's probably like a big caveat both of us should give right there.
guys, lead cost. So you can go to agentlaunch.com/2022 dash the month. So like 10, I think we started it in September. So you could do -09, -10, -11. That's where we host our market report of lead cost. That'll give you a good idea. You'll see how variant it is. It really depends on the market, how much search volume there is for that area, how many people are competing for those search keywords. There's no true answer to how much do leads cost on Google. It really depends on your market, depends on the time of year. Generally, $10 to $15 is a safe range. Seattle, $20.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley, $100. Like, you know, like San Jose, good luck.
Yeah.
But like small town Georgia, like can be pretty cheap, you know?
Yeah. If you search, we actually have a similar report out there. If you go to the Real Geeks blog and you type in CPL report, then we have one where you can look by city and it'll show you what was going on. Again, this was, I believe that's 2021 data. So it's a little bit dated. We'll be updating it as we turn the corner into the new year. But
also, another thing, Chris, is like, it depends what your website is and the quality of your ads and how they line up. Like my website was like yvrhomesearch.com. So it's like, it's a generic site. If it's like ericpreston.com, you're going to get a higher lead cost with your personal brand. So that's something to consider too.
Yep.
So there's a lot of factors. So let's get into YouTube because this is my favorite. So this is how to build a, in all caps, successful YouTube channel in 2023 without yet being confident on camera. You're not going to be confident on camera until you do it over and over and over again without being a video editor or having a bunch of speaking experience. For me, I was fortunate. I had done 130 in-person live seminars by the time I got to YouTube. So I had speaking experience, but I promise you, like interacting with the crowd and getting feedback, turning that into what I'm doing right now, which is staring at a camera and talking to you guys, is very different. And so even this is a live setting, like we're going back and forth. Then you transfer that to like getting in front of your camera. Mine's right here. It's like, then you're talking to like a static object, and that's kind of weird at first. So it takes time, but I'm going to show you some secrets on how you can do it in this.
I'm so excited, and I'll definitely second a live audience is very different. When you're doing this video thing, it's like the room is silent. It's just you and your cat, you know, it's like, it's weird.
Yeah. So I'm going to zip through a little bit of why you should pay attention to YouTube and some case studies and some stats. And then we're getting into 10 steps that you can actually use to succeed. So let's get into it. So YouTube is absolutely massive. It's one of the top social media platforms by monthly active users. Yes, Facebook is still the biggest, but it's on the decline now. So I think YouTube is going to take over any day. YouTube has no competition. What's YouTube's competitor? Used to be Google Videos, but then they bought it. So nobody.
It's no one. And it's the second largest search engine. Yeah,
exactly. YouTube is replacing TV. For anyone out there that has kids, how many of their kids watch YouTube and not cable? Probably all of them, right? Now they have YouTube TV just in the US, but it is replacing TV. There's 1 billion hours of YouTube watched every day. It is not going anywhere. It's only getting bigger and more dominant. YouTube is highly, 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 highly targeted. This is one of my clients who had that first video that took off, 5 pros and cons of living in Victoria. People search things like, what's it like to live in Victoria? His video pops up. They don't know what it's like to live in Victoria. Carrie's the first one to deliver that information to them. And guess what? He's gotten several clients out of that, one of them even a celebrity, which was pretty cool. So that's because he just took an honest approach to delivering value. He's not a young buck with technology either. You know, he's just having fun with it. And it's great. He just got the right amount of coaching, but it's highly targeted. When people search this and your video pops up, that's a great quality lead, right? YouTube's also cost recovering. My YouTube channel last year made me $23,201. So when you think about the costs involved in editing, equipment, so on and so forth, most real estate channels may not get to this level. Some will, but it's very feasible that after you get 1,000 subscribers, you can monetize your channel and you can generate, you know, 3-4 grand off of it a year in some cases. If you have a video that really takes off, it can be more. So it can actually recover your cost you invest in it. YouTube's also evergreen. This is a Google Ads tutorial that I told you guys about. Go to my channel, Eric Preston. This is the highlighted video on the top. If you want to learn Google Ads yourself, this video will teach you step-by-step how to do it. There's a couple other tutorials and they're not good on YouTube. There's a couple others and they make a lot of mistakes. This is actually coming from our experience doing it correctly. But I published this video when? April 13th. So look at that straight line of viewership. So I published this in April and it's still getting just as many views as it was when it started. So what does that mean? Like on social media, you publish a video, it lasts 1 or 2 days, right? YouTube, your videos, yes, they take longer to make. There's more investment on the front end, but they last way longer, disproportionate amount. So I published this on April. Last 48 hours, I got 158 views, right? Pretty cool. That video alone, I won't say how much, but it made us a lot of money. So you can have one video that can make you a lot of money. Linnea, that girl I showed you, she got 8 listings off of one video.
That's
Carrie,
also killer.
Carrie, I think it's up to 5 deals or something on that one video. So you get that one video that takes off, people find that one video and then they go explore the rest of your channel. And what do they say when they get on a call with you? This happens to me all the time. They say, Eric, I watched all your videos. I feel like I know you. So that's the best effect you can ever get with YouTube is that right there. I feel like I know you. Have watched all your videos. You say, oh,
okay. So there's a question I want to throw at you.
I don't even have to sell you. I have to just confirm I'm the person you think I am.
Right. Yeah. Are you the same in real life?
Yeah.
And I think this is the answer to the question, which is basically if some other agent is doing similar videos to like the one you just showed, like, you know, pros and cons of living in Victoria, and you want to do that as well, like how do you manage that?
Do it better. And there's more room, there's more space on YouTube for one agent.
That's right.
Like people are probably going to watch your pros and cons of living in video and maybe 2 other people's, and they're going to decide which of you they like better, or maybe they don't like any of you, but you're going to resonate with different people. And you have to understand that whether you're older, younger, male, female, whatever, like whatever is unique about you, you're going to resonate with different people than someone else. Rarely have I had 2 clients who are like, oh, you guys are making the same videos and you're the exact same. Like I have a client in Hawaii and he had this other girl join our program and they're in the same market. And so he's like, oh, is she going to be learning some of the same? I'm like, well, yeah, but like, dude, you're like a long haired surfer dude. You're super cool, laid back. And she's like, a totally different personality. She's Korean. Most of her clients are Korean. She has a totally different flair, totally different style. I'm like, you guys are not, your audiences are different, man. Like, so, I think it's important to understand that it's like, you're not going to resonate with everyone. And that's not the goal.
Right. And so you shouldn't be like looking at your competitor's video and thinking, I'm going to steal their script and like reshoot it, but like with slightly better lighting. That's not what you're going for. You're going for your own spin on that similar content.
Yeah. Be different. Like, it's okay to be a niche, be different, you know, like be yourself. Like, that's why I always say, show off your personality on video, because people are going to be drawn to that. But don't try to be everything to everyone. You're going to fail. Like, just be yourself uniquely. That'll come off really well on camera and you will appeal to the audience you appeal to, right? You're not everyone's going to like you. You know, I get some crap comments on my YouTube videos. I can show you a list of them if you want, but I don't let it bother me. A lot of people like my stuff, but I'm not for everyone. So another thing is YouTube is compounding. Now, this is one of the most important things about YouTube that you don't get with other social media is the more videos you create, the more keywords you have where people are going to find you, the more videos you have that are going to get recommended from other videos. And when people start finding those videos, they link to your other videos and it all mixes together and they compound. So once you have a bunch of videos, they all start working together and it actually compounds over time. So it gets better and better and better and better. Another thing I love about YouTube is you make one long video and we will chop that up into multiple short form videos for other social media platforms. So if you just focus on making really good YouTube videos, you can usually chop it up to like 3 or 4 videos for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and send that out as email content in the form of a newsletter. It's great. It just serves all these purposes. I love it.
Economies of scale, people. Like
Yes.
do less work and have your content work for you.
But it's not easy. It's not as hard as you think, but it's not easy. That's how I would say it. So case studies to follow, guys. I want you to all go to YouTube and I want you to follow these people. And I'm going to tell you why after I show you this. Linnea Carver, one of our alumni coaches, she's awesome. I would definitely follow her. Todd as well. He's done this military style. He's done all the videos to script, and now he's getting real creative, and some of his new videos are really, really, really cool. Jennifer Gramling. I don't want to specifically say because I don't know the exact number, but I had some clients tell me it was in the neighborhood of, I think, 50 deals in the last 12 months. But I just say 30 plus. But theme with the branding, moving to Nashville, Jennifer Gramling, 2,000 subscribers, 30 plus deals, pretty cool. This guy, kind of the king these days of YouTube, Levi, 18,000 subscribers. He has a team of like 14 now. They do easily 100 deals a year. Rochelle's new to the game, 8 months in. She's just done really, really well. She's done probably 20 deals.
8 months in and 5.44 subscribers.
She had one video she did that's called "Don't Move to Toronto, Ontario," and it got like 200,000 views. So you can have that video, right? You can have that one video that just skyrockets your life. Literally, you can make one really good video. It can get 200,000 views, and your life will completely change. And so that happened to me. I know what that feels like. Tom Story's an OG. He's been doing it for 6 years. He's often on the news. He's a great guy to follow as well. He does, I think, 1.4 million GCI with a database of 300 because he uses video so effectively. So we feeling good? You ready to get into 10 steps?
Let's do it.
Okay. And then we'll get into questions, guys, because you're going to have questions about this. So first thing, which I said I'd tell you about, is find inspiration. Okay. R&D, research and duplicate. Find 2 channels you aspire to be like. I just gave you a bunch of examples. Plan 10 videos in order of their view count or success for your own channel. So find yourself some inspiration, but mitigate your expectations. Everyone, I want you to pay attention to this right now. Don't expect anything for 6 months. If you're going to do YouTube, you have to go in it, do it with the mindset that if this delivers me nothing over the next 3, 4, 5 months, I'm going to keep doing it because I know it's worth it long-term and I'm committed to it. Don't expect anything. Todd, great example. Someone who did it right out of the gate really well, just by following our process. He's gotten some amazing results from it right out of the gate. I have another client, Teresa, who's like done the same. She's done really, really well with it, but she hasn't got that video to just hit yet. And it can vary on your market, the timing. There's a lot of factors. I know it for Teresa, it's going to happen like very soon. But what often happens, you get that one video, it takes off, and then that starts feeding the rest of your videos, and it can change your channel forever. And you can start having these old videos that got no traction, all of a sudden getting traction. It's really cool. But don't expect anything for a while, okay? Second is branding. We already went over this earlier in this presentation. I do this 10 steps as a separate presentation, so I won't get into this. But again, I like the branded approach. Living in Kona, Hawaii, livinginkona.com, Todd Barrett, Living in Kona, Hawaii, Refocus Realty. Your social can be Living in Kona. Brand, 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 brand. Pick one, stick to it. Don't have 2. I get this question a lot. It's like, Linnea is a good example. Linnea Carver, Linnea Carver, Linnea Carver, Linnea Carver. Keep it consistent with your colors and your messaging around your brand. Whatever you do, be consistent and stick to it. Don't have 2 brands floating around. I get this question a lot. It's like, should I have like my name and then, you know, true this or moving to this or whatever? Just pick one and stick to it. Okay. Equipment. This is one of our questions. So, does anyone know Marquez Brownlee?
Oh yeah, that guy's killer.
Awesome guy. He just started a new YouTube channel with his iPhone to show the world that you can start a YouTube channel with your iPhone. So Linnea, go check out her videos. She uses her iPhone for all her videos, okay? So I'll give you 2 options for your setup. One is your iPhone plus this lavalier mic. It's called the Rode Lavalier Go Plus, Smart Lav Plus. That's the one. Plugs right in your phone. You need to have that little gray tip on it. Not all mics plug in your phone and work. And you probably need an adapter from Apple, proper one. That'll plug into your phone. That's how you can record. Really, really simple. The other setup which is what I originally had, is the Sony ZV-1 plus the Rode Video Micro, which just sits on top of it. And I got a Joby GorillaPod 3K. That was my setup. That's it. Simple little tripod that bends around stuff. Sony ZV-1 camera. That'll cost you just under $1,000, probably like $800. Obviously, the phone's the cheaper way to go. So that's what I would probably recommend. You can also get some wireless mics, there's a few different options for wireless mics, but keep it simple. Do not complicate this. So many people I talk to are like, I just don't have the right equipment yet. Well, just buy a lav mic and plug it in your phone and get you probably need a tripod as well with a little phone connector, but keep your setup simple until you've proven
this is such great advice. And this is a Sony camera right here. So very similar to the one that you're about. Yep.
Mine right
there
here.
We go. Yeah, exactly. But you really don't need to go fancy on this, guys. Like, get started. And if you've got especially one of the newer iPhones, it's going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah.
So
also, guys, audio is more important than video. Remember that. YouTube has come out and said this themselves. If you don't have audio, you don't have an audience. So no audio, no audience. Remember that. Audio quality is more important than video quality. People can watch a 720p video. They can't watch crackly, audio with no bass to it.
Right. And I'm sure producer Sean right now is yelling at his screen. Lighting is also very important. You can have a kind of crusty old camera, but if you've got good lighting, like you do right there, Eric, yeah, there you go. All right. I'm not going to lead the witness here. Just you go for it.
Very good timing. So moving on to lighting, backdrop and lighting. This is my point, guys. Natural light is better than trying to be a director of photography. I even struggle to set up an artificial lighting environment. I've been doing this for a while. It's not the easiest thing. It's not the hardest thing. Just film in front of a window. It's the easiest thing you can do. I give you an example here. This is when I was filming my YouTube ad. So how good does that look? I'm assuming most people can agree that that looks pretty good. My background's nice and blurry. I got my Sony kit lens, was super simple. I have a Sigma now, but I'm just sitting in front of my window. Okay. It's just down there, in front of a window. That's all the lighting you need. You don't even need a light. Just film in front of a window with that simple setup I showed you. Have a simple backdrop, but not a boring one. If you're going to film in front of a wall, have a photo at least. One of my clients from Texas was doing a green screen. I'm like, dude, you got to change that. And he put a Lone Star behind him on the wall and it looked great. It's simple, but it works. And so for me, I just filmed in my apartment here in Mexico with a little bit of depth of field. It looks fantastic. I turned on those stair lights in the back. It looks good, right? So keep it simple. If you have a good camera, you'll get that depth of field. An iPhone won't give you that, just a heads up. So don't expect that. But that's everything you need. Just simple setup, film in front of a window. It's the easiest thing you can do. Okay.
Quick question. Someone asked, same equipment for Android ? And I think the answer is a lot of those mics have 3.5 millimeter connectors. So the answer is basically yes.
There's two types of connectors, TRS and TRRS. They both fit the same. One has 3 rings, one has 2. You need the one with 3 rings. Usually it's a gray tip. Okay. For phones, you have a black tip one for if you plug it into the camera. Technical stuff, but you
got
can
it. Nerd stuff.
Yeah, nerd stuff. So backdrop and lighting, keep it super, super simple, guys. Don't complicate your life. Next is scripting. So planned content is better than ad lib content, at least at first. I can ad lib a lot these days, but you don't get there right away. So have a proven script. So the pros and cons of living in video usually does really well. It's usually the highest view count video most of my clients make. So use a proven script with big reach. Use bullet points. Some of my clients like to use teleprompters and script out all their videos. For me, that takes a lot of time. And you can have a teleprompter app like Big View or Teleprompter Pro, or 2 apps you can get on your phone. So if you're filming with the front camera, you can literally read. It makes it super easy. But for me, I like bullet points. So this is how all the scripts, in our program, we give you 14 scripts. This is one of them. And this is how I do it. So use bullet points, but make sure you prioritize the right things in your script. If you're going to word for word script something, script your intro, because your intro is the most important part. Because your intro is where you're going to need to tell them why they should stay, right? So it usually goes something like this. Vancouver's known for a lot of things, from the mountains to the rain. If you're thinking about living here, well, I've lived here for the last 23 years of my life, and I've helped so many people move here as well from other places. I absolutely love it. But in this video, I'm going to break down the 10 pros and 10 cons, very honestly, of what it's like to live in Vancouver so that you can decide if this is going to be the right place for you, right? And if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you one bonus tip that you probably have never heard about from a local. So there's a lot that happened in that, okay? So I said, Vancouver's known for something. Are you thinking about moving here? Well, I'm giving myself credibility by saying I've been here a long time and I've helped many clients. So I'm showing that I'm actually a busy, not a new agent, move here as well. And I see certain themes of those clients. So like your hook is important. You need to teach people why they should stay, why they should listen to you, and what the video is going to be about. So really important to get that right. Then you want to go into something like this. Hey everyone, it's Eric here with eXp Realty, and I've been selling real estate again in Vancouver for the last 23 years. If you're in the market and need some guidance, you can always book a quick intro call with me using the link in the description below, or just feel free to reach out. And if you want to look at all the properties, you can go to my website. It's down there as well. But let's get into it. Like, keep it simple. Like with call to actions, you never want to miss them. That actually, honestly, probably wasn't the best example of what I just did there. You generally want to like make the call to action in line with what the video is about. So in this case, I might say something like, I know relocating can be a big deal. I'm going to go into my 10 pros and 10 cons, but obviously there's a lot more complexity to a city than just that. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments or hit pause. You can use my contact information in the description below. You can always reach out to me. I'm just happy to have you pick my brain on what it's like if you're confused or you want someone to lean on for questions. Like, make it feel organic to the video. And don't do the subscribe, comment, like, click the bell, email me, call me, buy your next house. Like, don't sales pitch it right away. Make it.
Yeah. This is great feedback for people. I think maybe the other thing I would add is, keep it tight. Like, you don't want to be like this expansive rambling video, but to kind of connect some of the questions that we're getting on the side, like, well, what should my videos be about? I think the other thing that is useful is for people to select questions that they get a lot from clients, so something that you feel comfortable like talking about. So when you have a bullet point in your script that's like, talk about this, it's a natural thing and you can kind of visualize the person you're talking to and it comes off really genuine.
Let me challenge you on that, because
Okay.
this is something I get asked a lot. Don't try and come up with content. Go to other channels and see what content worked. Because their channels will tell you what your audience cares about.
There you go. Yeah.
So I see this a lot. Is like, they like trying to. This is why I script videos for our clients generally, is because like the process of coming up with the content is a lot. But go to follow other people, see what content's working, mirror that. That 2-1 buy down video Linnea made, that was super successful. We have like 12 other clients who've mirrored that video now and done really well with it. So it's like, when you see something work for someone else, use it for yourself. Often you're in a different market anyway.
Well, so let me pose this question to you. This is a question that I've been asked in the past and advice that I've given, which is, when people say, well, what should I talk about? Sometimes my answer is, well, what questions do you get asked a lot? And so if your clients are frequently asking a question, well, maybe that should be at the top of the list.
That's a great point. And I agree. And like, usually that question is like, what are interest rates going to do? How's the market? Like, what's happening? Yeah. Like, and if you're getting a themed question like that a lot, then that probably is a good indicator that you could make some timely, relevant content on that.
Right.
Speak to it. I've had 13 of my clients ask me this question, so I wanted to make a video on it and send it to everyone.
Right. Exactly. There might be like kind of specific questions, like if you live in a place that's got something, unique about it. Like if you're moving to Austin, Texas, an example might be like, I heard traffic's bad. Is it really bad? Like, all right, there you go. You probably have a scripted response for that.
There you go. Yeah. So let's keep going. Excuse me. Next step is to actually film. So you can see here, this was the setup that I recorded that exact thing in before, right? This image came from this exact setup. So literally, I'm using a candle holder to put my camera to the right level, and my GorillaPod, my Sony ZV-E10, and then I have a Rode Video mic NTG. This is a more high-end setup, but that's that. That's all it is. Front of a window on a candle holder with a tripod.
That's killer.
Couple of pieces of advice for filming. We already talked about it, but keep your setup simple. Speak louder and faster than you think is normal. Okay. I can't stress that enough. Most people in their first video, they talk kind of like they talk in a coffee shop, Chris, and they talk kind of, like this, and it just doesn't come off the same in a video. You need to pick it up a notch. It should feel unnatural because on camera, it will come off normal. Okay. Also, don't stop. Film in one shot. Your editor hates getting 40 files of all the pieces of things you've done. If you screw up, say to your camera, just cut that last bit out and just reshoot it. They'll just cut it and it'll feel natural. When you guys watch my YouTube video or YouTube ad, there's like 40, 50 cuts in there, but it all strings together. So the advanced level of this is this. I say, and this is what it's like to live in Vancouver. And oh, wait, I want to say that again. And then you'll go back to where your hand positions were. This comes with experience. And they're like, and this is what it's like to live in Vancouver. And you start over. But don't worry if you get a little choppiness between your cuts. Nobody cares. They forget about it in a second. So film in one shot, turn your camera on, don't stop it. Get that one file, send it to your editor. Your editor will figure it out. Don't be afraid to talk to your editor into the camera as well. So like speak to them. Hey, can you just cut that out? Or can you like do this or that or whatever? They're going to be listening. It's a great way to speak to them instead of like messaging them what you want. Just talk to them. Next, step 7 is take a thumbnail photo. This is that video I told you about from Rochelle. 156,000 views. Right now it's over 200. This was like, it's crazy. So this is really important, guys. Titles and thumbnails are how you get people to click on your video. Nothing else matters to get people to click on your video other than titles and thumbnails. So you need to have your title and your thumbnail complement each other, not repeat each other. Okay. So her video is a great example. Don't move to Toronto, Ontario. Her thumbnail says, I can't stand Toronto. She's kind of like a disappointed face. So when you finish filming your video, you need to take a photo. Don't use a stock image. You need to take a photo that lines up with the title you're going to use. Don't take this lightly. I tell my clients, send me your videos so I can help you with this on Slack first, because I want you to get this right. I don't want you to publish it and 4 days later attend my call and then we work on it. It's like, send me it ahead of time because this is important. Those first 24 hours of publishing a video are really important. And it's important that you get the title and thumbnail right. Most people will do this. Top 10 pros and cons of living in Toronto, Ontario. And then their title will be top 10 pros and cons of living in Toronto, Ontario. Too many words. Keep it to 4 words or less. I know mine has more in this example. Usually they don't, but it just made sense for this video. So here's an example. 5 things I wish I knew before moving to Dallas, Texas. And then the thumbnail could read, if only I knew, right? Make sure they complement, don't repeat. Really, really important. First step is to get people to click on your video. Second step is get people to stay. It's really as simple as that.
Have you, I'm formulating the question here. Have you thought, can people test this? Because I know you can go re-upload, a thumbnail through the entire life of video. Do you recommend that people like launch with the thumbnail, and if it's not working, like change it, or do you try and just get it right first time?
It's a good question. If you really screw it up, you can unpublish your video and then redo it. I've seen that work. Really important point. If your video's ranking, it's getting traction, don't change anything. I've screwed this up so badly before. Don't edit anything. If your video's not getting traction, it's okay that you edit the title and thumbnail. YouTube will put it in the algorithm again and test it again. But you don't want it retesting your video when it has traction. So if your video is going well, don't change a thing. Okay. But if your video, you got off to a bad start, it's only 2 days in, you can unpublish it, delete it, republish it with the right stuff. That's okay. I've seen that work. But you don't want to like change it on the fly if it's working. And then another big thing I see with clients is they're just so eager to put their video out. They do it too quick. Just try and be patient. It's better to publish it 3 days from now and get the details right.
Any good rules of thumb on what the thumbnail should be? Like a long time ago, I did a bunch of testing on Instagram and kind of determined that like humans like faces. And so it was like having a face was the right thing to do. But
always have your face on it. Always make an expression. Don't use don't put your brand on it. Don't put your logo, your brokerage on it. It's distracting. Keep it simple. Like I love her thumbnail because it's just a photo of her with 4 words on it, right? With a very obviously Toronto thing in the background. So like most of my thumbnails don't even have a background other than colors, but you want the words to be really big and less of them. You don't want to write sentences because your thumbnails show up really small on YouTube. Like the words need to be big. Most of my thumbnails are like grow or like something really simple, but make the words contrast really well with the background and make them large so people can see them even when your thumbnail is small. It's an art for sure.
Excellent. And John just asked, is it really important to have your face in the thumbnail? And the answer was yes.
Yeah, not always. Like for a listing video, usually I think it's better to just have the price and a photo of the listing. But for most of your videos where you're the personality, and when people ask what kind of videos to create, it's like, be an ambassador of your area. And so like create videos that educate people in your area. As a real estate professional, create videos that educate people on real estate. And so be a teacher. But yeah, I would say it's important to have your face on most thumbnails. And you don't want to use the same stock image for everyone. You want to use like an expressive face that's relevant to that video.
Killer.
Okay. So next is the edit. My advice, don't try and be an editor because you're gonna suck. I've tried it and I suck. And it's not an easy thing to do. Leverage someone who's a professional. If you start editing your own videos, you're going to make less videos because the amount of energy you're going to need to put into that video is so much higher because you're like, I'm going to make this video and then I'm going to edit it. And I don't have the resource and I don't have the B-roll and I don't have the lower thirds and I don't have this and that. And I'm taking hours and hours. And then you're like, I don't want to do that again. Find an editor, use one with YouTube experience. Don't find an editor that does something else and try to teach them how to do YouTube edits because you are in no position to teach anyone how to do YouTube edits. Find someone with YouTube experience. At Agent Launch, we edit your first 3 videos. We even have a brand kit option where we create all the transitions, slides, all that. We make your thumbnails for you. We take all this stressful stuff off your plate because it can be hard, but find a service or whatnot that actually is going to make this easy for you.
How much do you think people need to pay their editor? If you maybe like on a per video basis?
So I'll give you an example. So like if you just go on Upwork or Fiverr and you contract out a remote editor, they might charge you $50 to $100 per video. So at Agent Launch, we have like a subscription service for our active clients only, where we do a few videos a month, but for each video, and ours works out to like $250 somewhere in there, like, but that's not for one video. Like we do a full edit, a thumbnail, and then we do a teaser video for social, and we do a repurposed video for social. So if your editor is going to do that, they'll probably charge you more, right? What's the quality of the edit? A lot edits can really bring your video to life. Even if you're boring, if you have a really good edit, it can bring your video to life. I've seen it happen. It's like I have a guy in my program now. As soon as he started using an editor, his videos just came to life. And it wasn't that he was boring. He just like had a very like kind of tempered energy, and the edit just brought it to life. So like a great video is really made in the edit. So make sure you have good editors behind it. Like if you want to see examples of ours, like Todd and Linnea both use our editing service, you can kind of check out what that looks like. But a really good edit can really change the life of a video. So also,
yeah, and I totally agree with that. I think maybe this is a question from, maybe sort of this in the previous slide. I agree with you long-term on the self-editing thing. You're going to you shouldn't expect that you're going to become a master editor. But I think the flip side of that,
realtor first.
Yeah, exactly. I think the flip side of that is it is healthy to see yourself on camera. And sometimes it's hard to look at, especially in the beginning. And so I personally have gained from editing my own videos, if for no other reason than just understanding my own filler words and the things that I say, or the hand gestures that are awkward, or that kind of thing, and figuring out how I can make it better and easier for the people that I work with.
That is so true. And I'll just add to that, because this is why I always say you just need to get through your first 5 videos. because there's so much that you don't know is going to happen on a subconscious and conscious level when you just make 5 videos and you just watch them. Like seeing yourself. That's why in our program, on our coaching call, we watch everyone's videos and we give them feedback in a live environment, so that you can, like, I can take you from being unconsciously competent or unconsciously incompetent and take you to being consciously competent. So like, I'll comment on things like, you know what, your energy is super inviting. It's super inviting and warm. And that's a real big positive. And it's something that's hard to teach. So just be aware of that. And it's like, you will learn what filler words you use. You'll see yourself doing weird things and you're like, I shouldn't do that. Or, or good things. And you'll say, I should do more of that. And it's like, just going through the process of watching yourself on camera, especially with a coach, like, can really help.
Cool.
And that could be from editing as well yourself. Like, you just see these little things. So another note on editing, guys, I'll just make really quick. Keep your workflow simple with your editor. What I recommend is taking your video file, uploading it to a Google Drive for them. They can download it, they'll do the edit, and then give them editor access to your YouTube channel in the settings. And then they upload it to YouTube. Then they upload it unlisted, and then you can review it on YouTube. And if it's good to go, you just publish it. It's good. Do the details and publish it. If it's not good, then you go back to re-edits, but don't fuss over the details. One of the biggest pieces of advice is, like, if there's a little typo in one piece of your video, it can feel like it should mean a lot for you in the first few videos, but nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to see it. I published a video last week where our editor did realtors.com. When I was mentioning realtor.com, I'm like, I don't care. Like, realtors know it doesn't matter. It's just such a small detail. It's the point you're making that's important. So don't fuss over these tiny little things, because you might go back and forth with 5 re-edits and then you'll get 10 views and you'll be like, damn, that was a waste of time. So be mindful of that. That's kind of the point I just made, was review. Spend more time reviewing early on with your editor. Like me and our editing team, they get it right 95% of the time now. So like, they publish to YouTube, I'll watch them, but like rarely do I have to tell them to fix something unless it's something big. But that doesn't happen right away. That's going to take time. Working with the same editors over and over and over again over time, they're going to learn your style. They're going to build you brand assets and things like that. So pick your battles as far as re-edits. Now, this is my favorite part. Deploying your videos. Okay, I'm really passionate about this because this is what I think a lot of people don't talk about. So what happens when you create a video? Well, you can actually deploy it in a lot of places. So I'm going to cover steps 10.1 to 10.7, I think. So the first and obvious one is YouTube. So add your tags to your video. Just know they're not that important. They're just telling YouTube what your video is about. Add cards, which are the links in the video as necessary. Add an end screen, just add one video. And when you get better at YouTube, you can say, and be sure to watch this next video here on X. But just add one video. Just end the video by saying, make sure you check out this next video here. Add chapters if you feel like it. There's those YouTube chapters in the video where you can have like designated points. There's a formula. You do that just by putting in the description. It's really easy. And create a default upload template that has an organized description like you see below here. Book an intro call with me. Call, text, email me directly. View all homes for sale in this area. Instagram, whatever else. Have a really organized with emojis default upload template. Get these details right early and stick to them. You should learn how to do this. This is important for you to understand and learn. Don't just outsource this, because if you're not doing this stuff, like, it's going to be hard for you to understand how to optimize. Second is deploy.
Yes, definitely. Totally agree with all that. That stuff all lives in notes for me, so I can just cut and paste it at a moment's notice. There
you go.
Yep.
Make it easy on yourself. Deploy via social media. So chop up these videos for social. You can easily have your editor repurpose this content into short form content, and then you can deploy it on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, etc. Okay. And YouTube Shorts is getting bigger and bigger. So make sure you do that. I think it'll take over a little bit of this game over time. Next thing is deploy via email. This is a bad example because we usually use a thumbnail in the email. But basically, you want to send out a quick email to your list, keep it short, add a thumbnail of your YouTube video, use your thumbnail in it and say, be sure to check out the video here. Get people from your list going to your YouTube channel, checking out your content. There's a big debate about this. People hear this and that. They're like, I heard you shouldn't deploy your stuff from social media or email because people might click on it and then leave, and that's bad for the algorithm. YouTube knows where traffic's coming from. I have not found that to be the case. Some people will say that. I'm a big fan of getting your videos out to as many people as possible, getting more eyeballs on them. Because if you do get more people watching the whole video because your videos are good and you're saying good things, that will teach YouTube that your video is actually relevant. So
here at Real Geeks, we have a clear opinion on this, and a lot of people watching clicked an email where we did exactly what you just recommend. So
there you go.
There you go, guys.
This was where Linnea did 11 conversations and 28 views, was from an email like this. Now, this was an email I sent to our list. So it wasn't in a real estate context, but we do this with all our clients. We put their videos into their drips for them so that they're going out automatically. But whenever you have a new video, you blast it out to everyone, get a lot of that exposure, especially in the first 24 hours. This one I love. This is gold. This is so good for proactive outreach, guys. I cannot express this enough. So when you're in the back end of your Real Geek site, what can you see? What properties people are looking at? So you can just go in the feed in Real Geeks and see exactly when anyone looks at a new property. And if you have a video for a bunch of different areas, use this. Hey, Jason, I noticed you were searching for homes in Kona a lot lately. So I wanted to send you a quick video on some of the things many buyers aren't aware of when buying in Kona. Let me know if this was helpful. They'll be like, what? That's awesome.
That's so good. That's so good.
Like, you just noticed I was like searching for homes in this area and you just sent me a really helpful video on that. Like, that's awesome, right? What a way to stand out, especially if you send it to them while they're browsing. Like, how cool would that be? They'd be like, what? Blow their mind. Next is deploy on the phone. So I actually already handled this or touched on this earlier, but we'll do it again. So if someone says, I'm just browsing, I'm not ready to talk to an agent, say, hey, no problem. Chris, I understand you're likely very early in your process. We're just here to help and meet you where you're at. I noticed you were searching in Kona. Our team leader, Todd, actually made a great video on his favorite neighborhoods in the area. Would sending that to you be helpful at this stage? They'd be like, sure. Why? Because they're going to get you off the phone. But it allows you to ask, great, is it all right if I text it to you? And then you can do exactly what we did in the last slide. Text them that video. It's a great objection handler for I'm just browsing, is like, hey, if you're just browsing, would this resource be helpful? Then they go back, they watch that resource and like, oh, you know, this guy Todd's actually pretty cool. Maybe I'll pick up this phone next time and talk to him. Because what is their fear? They don't want to be sold by someone they don't like. They never want to be sold. But if they like you, they might be more willing to be sold. The last bonus here, guys, is adding to your drip campaign. So the structure I have in the Real Geeks library actually is built for this. And basically the idea is stop relying on the YouTube algorithm to show your videos, because it's going to take some time for that to work. But when that starts happening, it's great. But at first you can do something like this, where you have day 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 10. Actually, your drip campaigns will automatically send your videos out to your new leads. So this is one thing we like to do, is the #1 real estate website in Vancouver, BC, realtor only data. That video is where you actually do a screen share and you walk them through your Real Geek site and how to set up a safe search, how to request more information, how to request a showing, how to get in touch with you, why requesting more information is going to allow you to go into the back end of MLS and get them information that they wouldn't allow to see through Zillow or Realtor or any of these other sites. Teach them why your website's the best. Then you can go on and you can put whatever other videos you feel in your drips. But that's it, guys. Deploy your videos. Those are the 10 steps. So we can open it up to a Q&A. Either way, guys, if you do want to explore working with Agent Launch, just go to our website, agentlaunch.com. Click Get Started. You can apply to work with us. It's actually a short survey, and then it's an intro call we'll do with you to see if there is a fit. But if you guys do want to check us out, working together, we've been, you said I'm an OG of Real Geeks. That's pretty true. We've been in talk. I remember when I was talking to Ryan back in the day, he was like, who's this guy? I was like, man, I'm going to bring you a lot of business because I know how to use your platform well. And now when we talk, he's like, yeah, okay.
Ryan says hi, by the way. He was pretty excited about this, keeping it real.
Hey, Ryan.
Inside baseball there for everyone. Yeah, Eric, I think you killed it. I think we're at the end of the questions that we're getting from the audience. And man, pound for pound, I don't know if anyone, at least recently on Keeping It Real has delivered this much like meat. That was like, what, an hour and a half of just killer tips that you guys can absolutely take to the bank.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, for anyone that wants the bonuses that we talked about, I think you guys may send out a link, but you can go to agentlaunch.com/masterclass-bonus. And you can also find our group, High Volume Real Estate Sales Secrets, on Facebook. That's a great way to connect. Obviously, you can download our resources, follow me on YouTube. I put out a lot of content there. So yeah, thanks for having me, Chris. Do we have any more questions, or did we get through all of them?
Maybe we'll give it a second here, but I think we got through all of them. Yeah, I don't see anything new. So
sorry, Sean. I told you I tend to talk and we go over, but
it's okay. But it was great stuff. So yeah, guys, why don't we end it right there? And absolutely, Eric, thank you so much. This has been killer. Guys, good. Eric's giving you all the links, so definitely go check him out. It really helps us out if you subscribe and like and make the algorithms happy. All the things we've been talking about for the last hour and a half. So we appreciate that, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate it, brother.